Take your time.
Yeah, I'm going to take my time. No, I think in the end it's not. Because in the end, in a relationship, I'm going to keep the relationship
thing. Oh, my God.
If we're going to build...
Did you just get out of therapy? What is happening?
Mark Carney is a particularly boring individual. That's why I think we saw him soft launch his Liberal leadership campaign on Jon Stewart's The Daily Show. It's very telling about these metropolitan Liberal elites that for all their talk about loving the Canadian legacy media and especially the CBC and believing the CBC deserves even more of your tax dollars, that when they need press attention, they go down to New York City and appear on an American television show. It shows that these people know that Canadians do not actually watch the legacy media. But I want to take you through some clips of this interview today. It's definitely not the worst interview I've ever seen, far from it, but it shows the weaknesses of Mark Carney as a politician. He's the former governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. He is a lifelong bureaucrat, and it really shows in this interview. Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre is going to clean him up, because Poilievre is a real character. He has personality. Carney needs his safety blanket, Jon Stewart, sitting there to make it seem like he might be interesting by osmosis. But anyways, before we get into some of these clips, guys, reminder, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I have a goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers by mid-December, so help a guy out, like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and without further ado, here is Mark Carney on The Daily Show.
Welcome, sir. I welcome you to our land, America. We are soon to be...
well, there was a border when I came, John.
When was the last time you checked Twitter?
I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that 80% of this interview is just inane banter between Mark Carney and Jon Stewart, but make no mistake, that is the real purpose of the interview. Mark Carney is a very stiff bureaucrat, and so he is here basically to seem like every once in a while Mark can still loosen his tie and just be one of the guys, and it doesn't really work. Again, he's not terrible in this interview, and every once in a while he says something that's, decently charming, kind of funny, but he's always having to follow the lead of Jon Stewart, his safety blanket here. Once Mark Carney is not on a late night television show set, he's gonna go back to being the World Economic Forum guy. The guy who sits on stage and just talks about boring policy detail for hours on end. Boring policy detail that is meant to make your life worse, by the way, because remember, this guy is the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. Everything that has happened that was bad in the last 2 years can be blamed on Mark Carney just as much as it can be blamed on Trudeau or Freeland.
What are they making up there of the overtures and sort of trolling to Canada about being a part of the United States?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is not going to happen. Due respect. The overture. I mean,
because you don't want
well,
to be with.
We're proud. We find you very attractive, but we're not moving in with you. It's not you. It's us. We do things a little differently in Canada. We believe in.
I just want to tell, before you go any further,
yeah.
I'm up for it. We're up for it. Whatever you do differently, we want to experiment too. What do you guys want?
I don't know if the audience had just gotten back from the dentist's office before taping this show, because they cannot stop laughing at some of the middest jokes I've ever heard in my entire life. But this is like half the jokes told in the entire 19-minute interview. Oh, it's not you, it's me. Are you breaking up with me? Do you want to move in together? Relationship joke, relationship joke. Can we make the marriage work? It's so forced. And Mark Carney can't even really deliver these lines smoothly. He's like falling all over himself, even in these clips. And I get it, it's a casual show, but this is Mark Carney at his charismatic best. And I would still say he has like half the energy of Justin Trudeau. Now, I don't like Justin Trudeau. I would way rather have Pierre Poilievre as the Prime Minister. Obviously, I'm a conservative. But Justin Trudeau wasn't this kind of stiff when jokes were being told. He could actually kind of roll with the punches a little bit. He could actually be kind of loose and fun. I don't like him, and I don't find him fun in interviews because you know what he's done to the country. But this is just kind of meh. Again, this is what is supposedly causing so many liberals on social media to be like, yes, this man is brat. This man needs to be the leader of the Liberal Party. Pierre Poilievre is scared of this man because of this Jon Stewart interview in which, again, they make the same joke over and over again. But I'm going to fast forward to when Jon Stewart asks him, are you going to run to be the leader of the Liberal Party? And Mark Carney's like, oh, I don't know. I've been thinking about it. And the audience is like, woo, woo, yeah, we don't know who you are, but you're going to run for something. Woo, it's bad.
Right now there is turmoil. Trudeau has resigned.
Yes.
There will be new elections. Do you know when the new elections are?
They have to be by October.
Okay.
They could come sooner.
Sooner than October?
Sooner than October, yes.
What would be the trigger of the election sooner?
Well, it would be likely the choice of the current governing party, which is the Liberal Party.
Sorry, but before we get to Jon Stewart asking Carney if he's going to run for the Liberal Party leadership, I just have to talk about this clip where Carney, being such a party guy, cannot even admit that the thing that's going to trigger an election early is the Conservatives, the Bloc, and the NDP basically forcing an election through a no confidence motion. He is such a party guy that he has to say, well, it'd be the government's choice on whether we go for an early election or not, because he can never admit to the unpopularity of the Liberal government having the opposition trying to force the election ASAP. In fact, it is the Liberals who are trying to hold on for dear life and want the election to happen as late as humanly possible.
Are they looking for a new leader?
I think they might be, John.
Sir, may I recommend to you, with your charm and debonair wit, yet strong financial backbone, that you offer yourself have you offered yourself as leader?
I just started thinking about it when you brought it up.
Just now?
Yeah, just now.
Because here's what the Conservatives have.
How much did Mark Carney pay Jon Stewart to do this interview? This is just propaganda. Mark, are you thinking about running for the Liberal Party leadership? Well, John, I had just started thinking about it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Your own staffers are leaking to the Canadian press that you're announcing your official campaign start on Thursday in Edmonton. But John, I had just started thinking about it. Really? Me? I should run? And John sitting across the table, with all your wit, charm, and good looks, you should be the next Prime Minister of Canada, the next unelected Prime Minister of Canada. Well, I'm going to think about it, John. Thank you for being the everyman to recommend me as the next Prime Minister of Canada. This is just stupid. Does anyone watch this and think, wow, this is such an organic moment between Jon Stewart and Mark Carney? Like, I know that they kind of know that the audience knows that Mark was already going to run, but at the same time, doesn't this just make you look like the most manufactured candidate on the planet? The only way we could make this look more manufactured is if Kamala Harris came out and said, Mark, are you going to run to be the Prime Minister of Canada and stop Canadian Trump? We would love it if you would do that. That's the only way that this could look more establishment, is by having some corporate Democrat walk out and say, can you be our avatar in Canada? It's bad. But here is them now talking about Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party.
And this will blow your mind. So the Conservatives are run by Pierre Poilievre.
Yes.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
It's a fictional J.K. Rowling name at best. Pierre Poilievre. This always fascinates me. I want to show this. So Trudeau, obviously. The other guy is Pierre Poilievre. It looks like, and he is Trudeau's rival, yes? They look like two fictional boys' school rivals in Poilievre seems like a villain in a Karate Kid movie. Like there's something very, very off-putting.
This failed attempt at a joke has convinced me that it was actually Justin Trudeau who was originally supposed to be sitting across the desk from Jon Stewart here. After Trudeau announced that he was going to be resigning in March, they swapped him out with Mark Carney, but Jon's people had already made up the bristleboard comparison between Trudeau and Poilievre, because were those really the jokes that Jon Stewart wanted to go for there? Trudeau and Poilievre look like high school rivals. Poilievre looks like a Karate Kid villain. Really? Poilievre looks like the villain from the Karate Kid. Yeah. Poilievre, known blonde person, looks like the villain from a Karate Kid. Poilievre is the most normal looking person you could possibly find. In fact, I think the original joke here, if Trudeau was on set, would have been about how Trudeau is this handsome man and Poilievre is this dorky looking accountant type guy who's trying to be cool. But you can't make that joke when Mark Carney's sitting across the desk from you, because Mark Carney is an actual dorky accountant who's trying to be cool on this very show with Jon Stewart.
What is he like in person? Take your time.
You're not far off.
This is what I mean about Mark Carney being really stiff and uncharismatic. Both Jon Stewart and Carney cannot come up with an actual joke about Pierre Poilievre. All they have is a lame reference that doesn't even track right. I can come up with better jabs against Carney off the top of my head right now. He looks like a TV movie prime minister. He looks like if you created a person out of a pocket protector. I can do funnier things on the fly than Jon Stewart and Mark Carney can put together on a television show where they've been preparing for this for probably over a week. My goodness.
I'll say this.
Yes.
There is a type of politician. You have a few of them here in the United States. I think we just
Stop it.
Yeah. They had a lot in and around Brexit.
Yes.
And we have Mr. Poilievre. In Canada, a type of politician who's, tend to be lifelong politician.
Really?
Tend to worship the market. They've never actually worked in the private sector.
Right.
And they see opportunity in tragedy, like you just had with the California fires, these horrible fires.
Okay, I'm just gonna level with you guys. This becomes very difficult to listen to. I don't even know what Carney's trying to get at. Poilievre is one of these politicians that you guys have too. It's a career politician, and they're around Brexit, and they like to exploit tragedy, California wildfires. He goes on to talk about how Poilievre, when COVID started, saw this as an opportunity to cut spending and eliminate our social safety nets. I don't even know what he's talking about. He's just using generic liberal talking points that, conservatives want to push your grandmother down the stairs. They don't like you. They want to hurt you. They want to cut all the services that you rely on. What? This is just inane. Again, it's like he doesn't actually have a good attack line against Poilievre, so he's just throwing stuff out there. Again, this is the person I keep hearing from liberals on social media is actually a real go-getter. This guy is somebody who keeps Pierre Poilievre up at night because he's scaring him. He's dynamic, he's charismatic, he's charming, and he knows policy really well, even though his policy track record of what he was advising Trudeau to do has been abysmal. He later also tries to call himself like an outsider in this interview, or basically insinuate he's a political outsider. I'm not a career politician like Pierre Poilievre is. Gerald Butts is your campaign chair or manager. Team Trudeau is behind you. You are being artificially propped up into the Prime Minister's office if you win. There's actually still a solid chance he doesn't win and somebody equally as incompetent as like Chrystia Freeland wins. That would be hilarious that Chrystia Freeland is actually considered the fresher face between her and Mark Carney, but is demonstrating the weakness of Carney that he needs all of this assistance. He has no brand. His only brand is the Trudeau brand, which nobody likes. Yes, Poilievre is deeply afraid of this man who he can attack with every line he was already using against Justin Trudeau, because this is basically Justin Trudeau's brain trust, although there's not many brains in there.
Well, now, see, the headwinds for this more right-wing populism, though, are all around the world, and it feels like Canada is no different there. I mean, did Trudeau bow out because he knew he wouldn't win Is this an attempt to give the Liberal Party there a chance?
I think it does give the Liberal Party a chance, yes.
Right. And he did that purposefully.
He came to that. Yeah, he came to that conclusion.
He came to that conclusion, or Nancy Pelosi called him and said,
Was it somewhere in the middle?
At least there is a little bit of truthfulness in this interview. Yes, there is a 0% chance that Justin Trudeau steps down as prime minister without outside pressure. It was probably the donor class of the Liberal Party who forced Trudeau out. Trudeau knew he was going to lose the next federal election, but was probably staying in, hoping to heroically martyr himself for the progressive cause. But when the donors said that we're not giving you any more money, well, he at least wants to martyr himself in luxury. He wants his campaign to be well funded. But if all the donations dry up, well, he'll find something else to do, and Mark Carney can be his new avatar in the Prime Minister's office, because, mark my words, Mark Carney will be doing everything Trudeau tells him to do once he steps in as Prime Minister, because although Carney considers himself a numbers guy, he also has zero leadership skill.
Have you decided to run yet? Because a lot of people in the Liberal Party in Canada have said specifically they will not run. I think they fear the headwinds in this election.
Well,
have you decided?
Can I say one thing on that?
Please.
I want to defend, because this is a very important point.
Now, I'm going to cut off Mark Carney's very important point and sum it up for you more succinctly here. He is making excuses for why other people are not running. He starts naming people like Steve McKinnon and Melanie Joly and others who have said that they are not running for the leadership of the party, and says, well, it's just because they're so focused on the current crisis with the United States. No, it's because they know they couldn't win the leadership because you're the one being coordinated by Team Trudeau. And some of them have even said that they're not running again, like Anita Anand, because they can't win. That's the real reason. It gets so bad with how much Mark Carney is avoiding saying he's running for the Liberal Party leadership that later Jon Stewart just says, well, thanks for announcing that you're running for it on the show, even though Mark never says it. I'll even show a clip right here. He just says, well, congratulations, and then the interview kind of awkwardly ends.
You're being so coy with me. I love the chase. I love this cat and mouse.
Well, we had to shake things up.
We've spiced up our relationship tremendously throughout this interview. So, congratulations on announcing on this program that you are running to be the leader.
Yeah, so the interview was very meh. And thanks to Jon Stewart for finally just cutting to the chase and saying, yes, you are running for Liberal Party leadership. Mark Carney is so indecisive, he can't even realize that this is probably the moment you should announce that you're running. But in his mind, he's thinking, but my team has already planned my official announcement event in Edmonton. Why are you waiting so long? The cutoff for memberships is on January 27th, and you're fooling around, wasting time so that you can do an official announcement like way too late? I don't get it. Although I guess he doesn't have to worry too much because Freeland has also not announced at this point, because both of them are not leaders. They are indecisive. They are fussy. They are very peevish about how they do things. The thought that this guy is just going to be able to become the prime minister, never elected before, just going to be whisked into office, is absolutely pathetic, and it really shows where Canada currently is, where Justin Trudeau has brought us down to. But anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. I hope you liked this format, this edited version of my show. Remember, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with somebody else, and if you want to support the show financially, you can always donate to the Give, Send, Go Legal Fund, linked both in the description below as well as pinned at the top of the comments. You can also go and look up my website, WyattClaypool.com, if you want to sign up and be given my recommendations for both nomination and leadership elections around the country in Conservative Party nominations and leaderships, I should clarify. Anyways, so see you guys all later. I'll be back with another video sometime soon.